Since the trailer, my excitement for Amazon's show The Rings of Power have gone down quite a bit. I am still looking forward to one thing though, and that is Warner Brothers' upcoming anime, War of the Rohirrim, where we follow the King of Rohan, Helm Hammerhand, during an event called The Long Winter. I cannot wait to return to Peter Jackson's visuals of Middle-earth and see both Rohan and Gondor in its glory, but from different angles and in a different time. To fully understand my top 5 hopes, we should get a quick overview. Helm Hammerhand is a legendary king of Rohan, only second to Eorl the Young. The anime will take place around the Long Winter. It lasted from November 2758 to March 2759, more than 250 years before the events in The Lord of the Rings. During this time, Gondor was attacked by 3 fleets of the Corsairs, and Rohan was invaded both from the east and from the west. These Dunlendings were led by Wulf. 4 years before the winter, his father Freka had been at the council at Edoras, where King Helm had challenged him to a fight without weapons outside of Edoras. Freka had grown ambitious and didn't follow the orders of his king. With a single hit, Helm killed Freka and thus gained the nickname Hammerhand. I've already covered a bit about the show when we first got the 2 concept arts, but here are my top 5 hopes for what we will see in the War of the Rohirrim. Number 1. The Fall of Edoras. While the main focus will likely be on the siege of Hornburg, I hope we will see the fall of Edoras as well. Edoras was the capital of Rohan, and when the war first broke out, Helm fought at the crossing of Isen, where he was defeated. While he was besieged at Hornburg, at the time called Southburg, his older son, Haleth, was defending Edoras. With great courage, he defended the capital and was the last man standing right outside the Golden Hall of Meduseld, where he was slain. I've heard many criticize the defenses of Edoras, so I really want to see that being put to the test. And the concept art indicates that we will see this fight. Many have said that it makes no sense that an elephant would be at the siege. And while it's true it's not specifically mentioned, I'd say there are several scenarios that could lead to this. And also, if you read between the lines, you'd expect the Haradrim to be part of this. As it stated, the enemies of Gondor landed at the mouths of Lefnui and Isen, and not just the Corsairs. I don't know if a Mumak sailed with them, but it is plausible. I would find it more likely that they pushed through the weak defences of Ithilien and crossed Anduin at the Undeeps, along with the Easterlings. Number 2. The Siege of Helm's Deep. Next we have one of the most iconic locations from the films that everyone is waiting to see again. Helm's Deep, of course. This fortress was originally built by Gondor and called Southburg by the Rohirrim at the time. Of course it was renamed Hornburg after the war where Helm Hammerhand valiantly defended the burg and perished. In the Variety article, we get quite an odd statement though. The War of the Rohirrim will explore the exploits of Helm Hammerhand, the King of Rohan, and the creation of Helm's Deep, the stronghold featured in Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. I honestly don't hope we will see the Rohirrim build it, but perhaps just add some more to it. I think it would take away some of the history between Gondor and Rohan. I don't expect the siege of Helm's Deep to be as dramatic and epic as in the films, but perhaps more like a real medieval siege, where you would try to starve out the enemy, something that is also described in the appendices about the event. Helm's second son, Hammer, went out during the winter with a minor group of troops to find food and supplies, but sadly never returned alive. It would be interesting to see something different than from the films, and I can't wait to see Helm Hammerhand fight like a madman against the Dunlendings. Number 3. More about the Dunlendings. We actually barely see them in the films, and they become irrelevant pretty quickly. While they play a bigger role in the books, the depiction of them in the film is like wild savages, barbarians. So I do hope we will get to see some more of them, and perhaps in a more human way. I'd love to see Freka's stronghold or a Dunlending town depicted, and hopefully just a tad bit more civilized than in the films. Number 4. The Corsairs of Umbar in Gondor. If you have ever read the history of Gondor, you know the conflict between Umbar and Gondor goes back for centuries, and it's one of the main rivals of Gondor's power. While the power of Umbar dwindled ever since the Kinstrife, I do hope we see them at least more powerful than in both the films and the books. I feel their role in The Lord of the Rings is minor, but I'd love to see more from them, and seeing Umbar itself would be really cool. At the time, the monument that Ar-Pharazôn had built when Sauron was defeated still stood in the city. I think there are many fans that would love to see that. Overall, I'm really looking forward to see more naval warfare between Gondor and Umbar, and hopefully we'll get to see Minas Tirith again, and perhaps other great cities of Gondor like Pelargir and Dol Amroth. Number 5. Don't forget the Easterlings. When speaking about the long winter, the Easterlings that invaded Rohan from the east are often forgotten. I think this is quite sad, as the Easterlings are some of the strongest enemies of the free peoples of Middle-earth, and I really like their armors in the films as well. I truly hope we will see their return, and even if they just play a small role in the anime, I can't wait to see them. And that are my 5 hopes for the War of the Rohirrim. But what are you guys most excited about? Do you think we will see the Nazgul and Minas Morgul play a role as well? Or maybe you just want the elves and dwarves to feature in some way? Let me know in the comments.